The internet has changed the way humanity processes tragedy. Every sudden death, every unexplained event, every controversy tied to a public figure immediately becomes part of a larger narrative. Sometimes those narratives are rooted in fact. Sometimes they're fueled by fear, coincidence, distrust, or the desperate human need to connect dots. Tonight, we're not here to accuse. We're not here to claim guilt. We are here to examine why certain patterns create theories, and why the internet so quickly transforms tragedy into mythology. These are the files that slipped through the static. Good Wednesday evening, everybody. I am your host, Lucas Cadoom. This is From the Tomb with Cadoom, and we've got a special one for you today. The static is again not letting us debut the finale for the Triangle Files, so we have to push it one more week. But we have a recent event that has shocked a lot of people and caused a lot of, let's just say reaction, that I think we need to take a look at a pattern that has been forming for a long time. We will not be putting blame on anyone or accusing anyone of anything. We are just looking at why humans feel the need to connect dots and build a pattern where there may not be one. The main case we are going to talk about during all of this is, of course, Kyle Busch's death. Now, at age 41 and one of the best NASCAR drivers there have ever been at this point, it certainly shocked everybody that Kyle passed away, and they quickly scrambled to put a reason behind it in their minds. There was also recent events in Kyle's life that caused a direct, quote-unquote, direct connection to certain industries, let's say. Now, the main focus of this episode is going to be that correlation does not equal causation. So there is no blame placed, but for some reason, our minds always find the need to relate something to a cause or a reason for things happening. And we will take a look at Kyle Busch's situation and a few others like Prince, Michael Jackson, Chester Bennington, Chris Cornell, and we will figure out why us, humanity, feels a need to have a cause of these deaths. So let's talk about how quickly fans and commentators speculated a conspiracy theory to explain the death of Kyle Busch. On May 21st and 22nd, as the news spread of Kyle Busch's death at the age of 41, discussions quickly linked his sudden and rapid health decline to the $8.5 million lawsuit against Pacific Life Insurance that had settled just 2 months prior. Again, this is just fans and commentators speculating. This is not us saying there is any direct connection to the company and Kyle's death. But fans and commentators quickly speculated that the stress of the lawsuit, the recent leg injury, and his freak accident nature of life caused a weakened immune system leading to the severe pneumonia and sepsis that ultimately caused his death. And there are a select group of fans that take it to the full conspiracy and do place blame. But we're not doing that here at all. The lawsuit we mentioned settled February 26th of 2026. Alleged that the insurer, Pacific Life Insurance, misled the Bushes into purchasing indexed universal life policy that caused over $8 million in losses. Then, the speed of the decline of his health from winning a race on May 15th to becoming unresponsive in a simulator on May 20th and passing away on May 21st fueled immediate suspicion, with some online discourses even going as far as asking for investigators looking into foul play, despite the confirmed pneumonia and sepsis. The timing alone could justify the suspicions. And we, as a society, for some reason, instinctively connect events to make them make sense in our heads. We also have an underlying hatred, well, at least a distrust, towards institutions and corporations like life insurance companies or pharmaceutical companies. And whenever we can, these tend to form a very emotional reaction after shocking deaths that can be linked, no matter how distantly, like in this case, to a major corporation like that. Because when tragedy follows controversy, the internet rarely sees coincidence first. But this wasn't the first time the public connected timing, controversy, and death. Next, we have the Michael Jackson side of this connection. Following Michael Jackson's death on June 25th of 2009, society reacted with shock, disbelief, and a rapid global transition from intense scrutiny to universal reverence. The sudden loss, coupled with his high-profile "This Is It" comeback tour, created an environment when fans and observers struggled to accept the reality, leading to the creation and rapid spread of conspiracies. Conspiracies like the MJ is alive hoax theories. Driven by shock and denial, many fans proposed that Jackson faked his death to escape the immense pressures he was under from the media, doctors, and other public figures. Then there were the murder or conspiracy narratives. Others believing Jackson was murdered, pushed heavily by his sister LaToya Jackson, who suggested a group of advertisers and doctors worked him to death for his music catalog and estate. Then there's the Dave interview, a widely shared theory suggesting Jackson appeared on Larry King Live shortly after his death disguised as his friend Dave. These were all created because the speed and unexpected nature of the death made it feel impossible to many, leading to a refusal to accept the official story, causing the denial of sudden loss. Then, Jackson's final years were marked by intense ridicule and legal battles. His death created a sudden, complete reversal in public perception, making it difficult for some to reconcile the creepy media persona with the King of Pop that emerged immediately after again, fueling suspicion. Then we had social media and misinformation. 2009 saw the rise of Twitter and spreading misinformation rapidly, allowing theories to go viral before they could be debunked. Then the ever-present tabloid and online scams, false, sensational headlines were often perpetuated by tabloids to generate gossip by cybercriminals, looking to install malware, creating a profit incentive to keep conspiracies alive. Conspiracies have always been rooted in society for a multitude of reasons, some nefarious like the malware and cybercriminals, others to protect our mentality like the denial of sudden losses. But that leads us to Prince dying, creating such a distrust of pharmaceutical companies. Prince's death on April 21st, 2016, intensified public distrust of the pharmaceutical industry and medical community. It acted as a turning point that put the opioid crisis from a white-only issue to a universal, high-profile scandal. While initial vague reports surfaced immediately, the specific revelation that he died from a fentanyl-laced counterfeit pill sparked a surge of awareness over the summer of 2016. Authorities confirmed the counterfeit nature of the pills in August of 2016. Why the distrust emerged so rapidly? The counterfeit realization. Public awareness spiked when it was revealed that Prince likely didn't even know he was taking fentanyl, but rather counterfeit pills designed to look like legitimate pharmaceuticals. Widespread suspicion of dirty doctors. Investigations into the case quickly exposed how easy it was for high-profile individuals to obtain large quantities of prescription medication, leading to increased scrutiny of physicians and pharmacists. Then, the fact that a wealthy, health-conscious icon could fall victim to a tainted pill highlighted the extreme dangers of street-level opioids to a broad audience, fostering suspicion that safe, regulated pharmaceuticals were becoming dangerously inaccessible or indistinguishable from deadly fakes. So, in April of 2016, the death occurred. Immediate widespread shock and suspicion of opioid abuse emerged quickly. In June of 2016, the autopsy confirmed that fentanyl was the cause of death. August of 2016, news broke that the pills found were falsely labeled and counterfeit. Then, 2017 through 2018, public scrutiny widened into lawsuits against doctors, Walgreens pharmacies, and hospitals for their roles in the overdose. Ultimately, Prince's death, along with others like Tom Petty and Michael Jackson, were seen as proof that the addiction crisis was being driven by both overprescribing by legal doctors and the counterfeit illegal market. Before we take a look at our last case, I once again want to reinforce that we are not saying there is any blame here by any of these companies. There is no blame here. We are not claiming guilt. We are not accusing anyone. Correlation is not causation. But it needs to be looked at why we do this to ourselves as a group of people. And that leads us to Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington. Chris dying in May of 2017 and Chester in July triggered a widespread psychological reaction brought on by profound collective grief, disillusionment, and a surge in public discourse around mental health. Both singers openly sang about depression and trauma. Their suicides deeply impacted a generation of fans who viewed them as a symbol of resilience, including myself. It was a loss of an idol. Fans, we experienced intense mourning, often describing the loss as a piece of their childhood or adolescence passing away. The emotional weight was amplified because Bennington died on what would have been Cornell's 53rd birthday, cementing the twin losses as an interconnected tragedy in the public consciousness. Psychologically, the public struggled with the paradox of fame and mental health. Many fans had placed these artists on a pedestal, viewing their wealth and success as proof that one could survive the darkest demons. Their deaths forced a sobering societal realization. Severe depression and trauma are often impervious to external success. This brought on polarization of public opinion, empathy versus stigma. While many used the tragedy to discuss the harsh realities of clinical depression, a polarizing backlash also occurred. Some figures and segments of the internet labeled the artists selfish or cowards. Psychologists and mental health advocates such as Corey Taylor pushed back on this, noting that such labels are immature defense mechanisms society uses to avoid confronting the severity of mental illness. The death also sparked critical conversations about traditional masculinity in the music industry. Both men struggled with childhood trauma and addiction, prompting society to re-examine the connection between past adverse experience and adult psychological vulnerability. Both were catalysts for mental health awareness, though. The twin losses prompted many fans to find solace in community. Linkin Park bandmate Mike Shinoda noted that subsequent tribute concerts served as vital catharsis, allowing fans to share their grief and check on each other's well-being. The psychological shockwave resulted in tangible action, with organizations like National Suicide Prevention Lifeline recording double-digit spikes in crisis calls in the days immediately following Bennington's death. And then the families and peers of the artists responded by establishing foundations and awareness campaigns to change how society understands and treats mental illness. And then you have people like myself that have decided to use our own traumas and things we've been through and use it as a way to help people, because somebody somewhere, even if it's only one person, can use our stories and benefit from them. The more emotionally connected people become to the public figures, the harder it becomes to accept the randomness. So why do we create the patterns? The human need for pattern recognition is an evolutionary survival mechanism. Our brains need to constantly organize sensory data into rules and models. The cognitive trait enables us to learn language, predict future outcomes, navigate social environments, and make decisions with incredible efficiency. Our environment is filled with an overwhelming amount of raw sensory data. The brain conserves energy by filtering this noise and focusing only on predictable patterns. Ancient humans used pattern recognition to identify paw prints, distinguish plants from poisonous ones, and predict weather cycles. The cognitive efficiency, instead of memorizing isolated pieces of information, allows the brain to quickly extrapolate what will happen next. The everyday applications of this are our language and communication. Recognizing patterns in grammar, vocabulary, and syntax allows us to communicate, read, and write. We continuously analyze behavioral, facial, and body language patterns to decode social cues and respond appropriately. And with our inductive reasoning, logic, the foundation of science, is entirely driven by noticing patterns and deriving theories from them. Usually, pattern recognition is universal, but some people with neurodivergent issues, trauma survivors, or people with certain cognitive biases may perceive these patterns differently, and anyone can take anything to an extreme if it makes their brain feel better too. That is why we form the patterns in our head after things like this happen, to make it make sense to us in the easiest way possible. You see, the human brain would rather invent a pattern than accept the chaos, and social media accelerates the spread of conspiracies. It deepens the distrust and creates echo chambers, primarily by prioritizing engagement over accuracy. These platforms foster identity echo chambers where individuals acting as real-life investigators consume and share only information that confirms their world views. Then you have creators like me that only share the facts they can find and try and keep as much as their bias out of it as possible. It's not all bad, but it does make it worse. These engagement-based algorithms creating the clickbait culture, people posting fake information just to get the clicks and the likes and the reactions and the comments, spreads the rapid misinformation. The faster those clicks build, the more people believe because they're not going out and doing the research for themselves, which leads to the erosion in the trust of authority, because people believe that these corporations that control these sites should be regulating this stuff. But how are they supposed to regulate millions of people at the same time efficiently? And not only that, but then people use conspiracy theories as defense mechanisms to help process confusion, neutralize anxiety, and restore a sense of order, driven by the need for certainty, safety, and positive self-image. As coping mechanisms, conspiracies reduce ambiguity. When faced with complex or chaotic events, the brain seeks instant understanding. Conspiracies provide simple, black and white answers, even if they're not really there. And it's often less painful to believe a conspiracy than to accept personal defeat, so it also protects the ego. They also act as attempts to regain control when people feel like their life or society is out of their control. They're highly vulnerable to conspiracy beliefs. And then by pointing to a secret cabal, scapegoat, or plotting group, believers transform an abstract or uncontrollable threat into a defined enemy they can understand and fight, granting a compensatory illusion of power and direction. Then we also use conspiracies as emotional explanations for tragedy, like the principle of proportionality. Human psychology struggling to accept that massive tragedies can stem from trivial or random causes. We rely on the proportionality bias, meaning a major earth-shattering event must have an equally large and sinister cause. Many narratives rely on an overcoming the monster tile. When a tragedy occurs, a conspiracy theory neatly divides the world into heroes and villains, which gives people an emotional, dramatic, and satisfying structure to make sense of the trauma. While the theories provide temporary comfort or moral superiority, they rarely reduce the underlying anxiety, instead frequently increasing a person's sense of powerlessness and alienation. So, maybe coincidence is all we're seeing, or maybe humanity has reached a point where trust itself has become corrupted. Every headline becomes a puzzle. Every tragedy has become a theory. Every pattern we uncover becomes another crack in reality. But the question remains, when does coincidence become suspicious? Do we believe in coincidence at all? Or are we simply forcing meaning onto chaos? Maybe the internet has become addicted to suspicion. Who knows? We'll find out eventually. Here at From the Tomb with Cadoom. Tonight's files remain unsolved. Not because answers don't exist, but because the internet rarely waits for them. The static continues to spread. And somewhere beneath the truth, fear, and coincidence, new theories are already forming. Until next time, keep it twisted and escape your tomb until we crack mine open again next week. Please be sure to go follow Cadoom on all our social medias and interact. I'm trying to help you guys help me. I want to bring you guys the best content possible that you guys love and understand and want to enjoy. That'll also lead us to different merch styles and different things we can do coming up that the more interaction I get, the sooner, the better for everybody involved. We are Cadoomed on pretty much all platforms. All of our social medias that are currently active are linked in the description. Next week we will have the Triangle Files finale for you. For sure, 100%, no static involvement. It will happen. And the week after that, we will be going into our original content. Have a great Wednesday night. Thank you for tuning in. I am Lucas Cadoom Cadoo. This is From the Tomb with Cadoom. Have a good night.